Hi, I'm Paris, and I could use some more sleep. Not just tonight, but just about every night of the week. Now, I know that's not an uncommon complaint. Lots of folks have trouble sleeping. If you read the stories in the news, it's like a #1 health issue. So I'll keep the complaining to a minimum. That's all subjective, and that's what I wanted to get away from, my subjective experience of how well I've been sleeping. I wanted an objective opinion of how am I sleeping. So for a few years now, I've been using the Fitbit wearables. My current one is the Fitbit Sense. It monitors me day and night, and it knows sorta when I go to sleep. It can see what stage of sleep I'm in. It monitors my blood oxygen through the night. So lots of information here, but some strange anomalies with it. I finally got so frustrated because I searched through the forums, tried to find out what was going wrong, why it was doing these weird, telling me these weird things. So I went out and bought another device to monitor my sleep objectively. It is the Google Nest Hub version 2, the second generation one. It's got a kind of radar device in it. It sits right next to my bed, and it beams the bed all night long and watches me while I'm sleeping. It also has a microphone and a light sensor. So it has a different perspective on how I sleep, and so I expected that would fill in some of the strange gaps that my Fitbit Sense has been giving me about my sleep. And just to start off with price-wise, the Fitbit Sense, I think this older model still goes for around $200. There's a newer model of it out that's more expensive, but I don't think it does a better job of sensing your sleep. I don't think it has any additional sensors. The Google Hub Nest version 2 that I have at my bedside right there, I got that on sale for $35. So does this do a 6 times better job of monitoring my sleep? We'll find out, and you can find out more about both these devices at the links down below this video. Let's start with last night, as seen by my Fitbit Sense. 6 hours and 30 minutes of sleep, a sleep score of 77. That's pretty good for me. Looking briefly here at this week, you might wonder what happened Tuesday night. Well, I'll show you here in a minute. So let's go to today. My deep and REM sleep. So here you can see again the times I was awake. That's about right each time. I had to go pee. The REM sleep, I had 3 episodes of REM sleep, and the deep sleep looks like I had 4. Now, if you look here at the graph, what you really need to see is the benchmark of how this compares to other people my age. So I'm going to tap on benchmark, and you can see I did not get enough REM sleep. That is the case almost every single night. And the deep sleep, I was in good shape for that. I had basically a little bit too much light sleep and not enough REM. And we can go back from here to look at restoration. Usually my heart rate gets pretty low at night. The little bumps in the graph are when I was up out of bed. So 6% above resting heart rate, 94% below. That's fairly typical for me. 11% tossing and turning, sadly, also typical. 3% snoring, and the room was fairly quiet. Here's my estimated oxygen variation. Okay, going back out of this to another place where they tell you what's going on at night. Health metrics. This was last night. Breathing rate, 13 is fairly typical. Heart rate variability, 21. That's normal for me now, even though that's not very good. Skin temperature was a little cooler. Oxygen saturation, 95%. That's good and normal. Resting heart rate, 52 beats per minute. That's also normal for me. Now I'm looking in the Google Fit app. This connects to my Nest Hub, and it says my last sleep was 6 hours and 44 minutes, fairly close to the 6.5 hours estimated by my Fitbit. And getting some more detail here, telling me I usually need around 7 hours and 15 minutes. Actually, I need more than that. I was so tired I went to bed early last night. You can see here, 9:16. Now, I did stay awake and watch TV till about 10, even though the app here seems to think I fell asleep right after getting into bed. I was probably pretty motionless. And then getting up at 7:06 this morning, that sounds about right. But what's important here is the sleep quality. Now, in this top portion, you can see they say there was a lot of snoring going on, whereas the Fitbit said it was only 3% snoring. So I'm not sure what's up with that. And then other sounds, which they leave pretty vague. I'm thinking it's the air conditioner. Now let's look at sleep stages.
they have me with 4 bits of REM and 4 bits of deep sleep. So I think in the Fitbit it said last night I had three episodes of REM. But pretty close, 3 and 4, 4 and 4. I'll have to go and overlap them to see if they show that as happening at the same time. But it's interesting that they can both, assuming it's correct and accurate, that they can both catch those sleep stages, one by monitoring my heart rate and blood oxygen and motion on my wrist, and the other just by watching me and listening from right next to the bed. And down at the bottom, respiratory rate, 13 breaths per minute. I think that's about what the Fitbit said as well. And also in the Google Fit app, there are some other things related to sleep. My sleep report. I am not waking up on time. Well, on the weekend I slept in a little. And this morning I got up too early. Okay, that's all that's there. Then we have sleep duration. You might notice here that Tuesday they show me with about 4 something hours of sleep, whereas on the Fitbit it said I didn't sleep at all, or at least it didn't recognize that I had an actual sleep. And then there's also bedtime schedule and how well I met the schedule, going to sleep on time, getting up on time.
Now the Google Nest Hub does offer a little different perspective of the information if you look at it on the device itself. I'll show you a couple pictures here.
So we're back in the Fitbit app, looking at my sleep. And so here's that weird thing of my missing sleep for Tuesday night. If we go down and take a look, well, it does give me times. It gives me an 11:54 to 2:25 a.m. Now, if you don't have 3 hours of sleep altogether, it won't give you any additional information. It seems to think you're not really sleeping. So let me tap on this first one and see I'm just getting basic sleep details. No sleep stages. Here in the Google Fit app, let's go back to Tuesday and see what happened that night. Okay, gives me just under 4.5 hours of sleep, but though I was in bed over 7 hours, so very poor sleep efficiency. Says I got in bed a little before 11, woke up a little after 6. Took me 2 hours and 39 minutes to fall asleep. So in this case, that weird thing of the earlier period of sleep not counting for anything to my Fitbit sense, also that gets detected here. So I'm still not understanding why. I know I go to sleep by 11 o'clock, but then I wake up and sometimes it's before midnight. I still don't understand exactly what's happening there. My sleep quality, though, in the time that it did detect it, there was some snoring, some mysterious other sounds, but they at least see that after that long period of being awake here, I did have some REM and I did have some deep sleep. None of this was picked up on my Fitbit Sense because, again, less than 3 hours of approved continuous sleep, they give you nothing for the night. This one at least gave me what numbers it could. Now let's look at a longer period of time to get some averages. This is in the Google Fit app, and it says during the month of March, 6 hours and 1 minute. Let's see what the Fitbit Sense says. My Fitbit app tells me in March I averaged 5 hours and 37 minutes of sleep each night. So about 25 minutes less than Google Nest Hub tells me. So it's same ballpark, but still a half-hour difference per night of sleep. That's quite a bit. Now maybe our sample size is too small, just doing 3 weeks in March. So let's go to 3 months. My average in the Fitbit app is that I slept 5 hours and 47 minutes a night. In the Google Fit app, let's go back a month and see what my average sleep was last month. 6 hours and 1 minute still. Now, I only started using the Google Nest Hub in February, so I can't go further back to compare.
So pretty comparable sleep information from my Fitbit Sense and from the Google Nest Hub. Being much more expensive and being on my body all night, I would think the Fitbit Sense would do a better job of tracking my sleep, but it has a particular issue, and that is when I first go to sleep at night, if I fall asleep before midnight, let's say it's 10:15, and then I sleep for an hour and a half, wake up to pee, so it's 11:45. When I go back to bed, it thinks I took a nap, and it doesn't add that sleep to the rest of the sleep. It still says, nope, you took a nap at 10:15, and then you went to bed at 11:55. That's one of the things that I was hoping the Google Nest Hub could help me figure out what's going on. Why is that just a fluke with this? Or is my sleep really not good or not deep? Or what's going on with that sleep? But once I've looked over the results from this and compared it to this, it just gets stranger. But do either of these really know when I'm asleep, when I'm dreaming, when I'm in deep sleep? They don't. They have an algorithm that makes their best guess, and it seems to be fairly accurate. But the only way to know for sure about being asleep and about which stage of sleep you're in is to have an electroencephalogram, which is when they put those little sticky pads around your head, little electrodes, and the signals from that can clearly show what your brain is doing. These can only make their best guess based on other things that they see. I think it's pretty good that for the much cheaper price and the fewer sensors and the less information it has to work with, that it can still be just about as accurate at seeing the sleep and the sleep stages as the Fitbit Sense. Does knowing this additional information about my sleep help me sleep better? No, I think it just makes me worry even more because I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm especially, according to both of them and for the longest time, not getting enough REM sleep, and I really don't understand that. One thing though that sleep assistant devices have helped me learn is that when I sleep in on the weekend, I do get more REM sleep then. So if I could just add an extra hour to my sleep each night at the end, in other words, get up an hour later, that would really help me get into both the total number of hours of sleep, to have that within the normal range, and to bump up my REM and maybe keep that in the normal range too. The problem is, for everyone, the schedule in the morning isn't always so flexible, so when you gotta be up, you gotta be up, whether you've had enough sleep or not. But if you want to know exactly how much you're missing, either of these devices would do a good job. The Fitbit Sense, the Google Nest Hub version 2. You can find out more about both of them at the links down below this video. Or you can just hit that snooze alarm one more time and say, I'm going to get the sleep I need. I'm going to get the REM I need. And when I'm done with that, I'll wake up and say to the world, okay, now what do you need? That's how we ought to be doing it. And I'll see you on the next review.
There are so many choices and you don't want to stress. You want your health food at home, receiving only the best. That's what we're here for, we give honest reviews. parristx.